Hi there, Fuzzball. So this isn't necessarily new news, but I wanted to put it into context of Ratchet and Clank and what it might mean for the next game, because that's just what we do here. So some of you have pointed out to me that you would be pretty disappointed to find that the next Ratchet and Clank game that you've been waiting like 6 years for or something will be on PlayStation 5, and you have to buy a probably $500 system, plus a $40 to $60 game, plus taxes and maybe shipping, so it's like more like you gotta pay $600 and play the next Ratchet and Clank game. It didn't occur to me that some people might not really like that. So I've recently realized that it might be possible, just possible, I don't know that it really happened, but it's in the realm of possibilities, that the next Ratchet and Clank game, we're sure it'll be on PS5, but it might even be on PS4, maybe even PC? I don't know, we'll talk about both those things, we'll break them down, we'll see where we're at with them, you know? So like 2 months ago, Xbox announced that they're not gonna have any Xbox Series X exclusives until at least a year after the launch of the console. So that means that all first-party games like the new Halo game will come out on or with the new Xbox Series X, whatever it's called, but you can also play it on the Xbox One, which is the current generation Xbox. And that's how all first-party games are gonna release for at least a year, maybe up to 2 years. We want to make sure that if someone invests in an Xbox between now and the Series X, that they will feel they made a good investment and that we're committed to them with content. So that made me think, well, what if Sony does this, huh? What if they decide to do a similar thing? You know, they want to have a really smooth transition between the PS4 and the PS5. Would this help that? Sony did announce one game, if you remember, for the PS5, Godfall. That is a third-party game, exclusive for the PS5 and PC. We'll come back to the PC side of things, but first let's look at it just being on PS4. So I have a pretty good feeling Ratchet and Clank, you know, if you haven't watched my other video, check it out. It might be a launch title with the PS5. Maybe if it's not, I would say it would come out like for sure within 6 months after the console releases, probably more around 3 months, I'm guessing. But what I really want to talk about is how this would affect the new game if the lowest common denominator is a PS4 now. How will this affect the game? What kind of features are we not going to be able to use, if any? How will the graphics suffer? So first of all, really quick, the graphics, obviously they'll just be lesser than. Xbox recently announced, you know, a bunch of specs for the Xbox Series X1 something, and they said that smart delivery is a feature. So smart delivery basically means you buy a game once and know that whether you're playing it on an Xbox One or an Xbox Series X, you're getting the right version of that game on whatever Xbox you're playing on. So if you buy the new Halo on a current gen Xbox One, you can later play it on the new Xbox Series X and it'll just be more optimized. It'll know to play the version for the new generation console. So if Sony wants to do a similar thing where they come out on both systems, they would probably do that same thing. So it would just look worse on PS4, but like the PS4 Ratchet game looks incredible. Graphically, it's outstanding. So like I don't really even care about that, to be honest, at all. And it came out like in the middle of the PS4 life cycle and it just looks fantastic. On a PS5, I'm sure it'll look somehow even better, somehow, but if they can just dial it down a little bit so it can run on a PS4, that's fine. No, these are totally the same glasses. So my biggest concern with it being also on a PS4 is that it won't be able to utilize the SSD that the PlayStation 5 will have. So how will that affect the game? Well, let's look back at 2 other videos that I've done. I think it was the last Talking Head I did. I talk about how the next Ratchet and Clank game could be a huge deal. If you haven't seen that, check that out for more details. But one of the things I talk about is that it will be on a PlayStation 5. It'll be able to utilize the SSD. That going hand in hand with another video I did talking about how the next game could potentially have a lot more open world aspects. Who knows exactly how they could make it work, but what I figured is that it'll probably be a lot like a Crack in Time, where when you go from planet to planet or level to level, you're just jumping in your ship, load screen, you're in space, you go to the next planet, load screen, you're on the next planet. So perhaps the difference with the PS4 version versus the PS5 version is that there'll just be a load screen on the PS4, and on the PS5 it'll just fade to black, fade back in, you're on the planet, no load screen. There's no screen, no load times, instant. Oh no. Perhaps it'll be that simple, but it makes me less hopeful for how all out they can go with this next game. Like, sure, no load times is great, but they could just do more than just structure it the same as every other previous game where it's just, you know, level maybe space exploration level, and it's just a load screen in between. Just take out the load screen. That's great, but they could do so much more. Basically, any PlayStation 5 game can be an open world game, but if it has to run on a PS4 as well, how does that gonna work? It really depends on how the game is structured. Maybe it's something like Sly or Jak and Daxter, where like, say like in Jak 2, you're going in an elevator to go to this next segment of the level, or for the level. The elevator is just a catalyst for the loading screen. You're still, feels like you're playing, but it's actually loading the next section of the game. Maybe that's just how it'll work on a PS4, but why would you have to have that on the PS5 version? That's just unnecessary. I don't know, who knows? All we can really do is wait and see how that's gonna pan out, but all I do know is that this is made by Insomniac. They're extremely talented, and I have faith in them. I know a lot of people would be happy, because, you know, we had, including the spin-offs, 6 PS2 Ratchet and Clank games, 6 PS3 Ratchet and Clank games, and then just 1 on the PS4. That's annoying, I know. So I know a lot of people would love to see this, but it also, like, pains me. Like, oh, we're on to the next gen, but we're still held back by the last gen. Like, I don't know to what extent. We'll just have to wait and see. Sony is being quiet about it still, you know. And then, like, features, we you know, don't know anything. And since we don't know anything about the PS5, we don't even know what features there are. I guess some developers and some executives or something have been teasing the best, you know, of the PS5, the most exciting things have yet to even be announced. Don't even know what to expect. What does that mean? What could that be? So they talked about how the DualShock 5 will have like haptic feedback where you can feel like when you're running through snow or sand or in water or whatever. I don't know how that'll work or what that'll feel like. I guess that just wouldn't be a part of the PS4 version of the game, because you can use a PS4 controller on the PS5, I believe that was confirmed, but not a DualShock 5 on the PS4, I believe. But what other quote-unquote gimmicky features are they going to announce for the PS5? Like, you know, the PS4 has the touchpad. I like it, I think it's fine, but nobody ever uses it as an actual touchpad. Infamous Second Son, for example, came out, I think 3 months after the PS4 came out, and that utilized the touchpad in a couple of times, a couple of ways, and then, like, never again. So if Ratchet is going to be an early game on the PS5, it'll probably try to utilize, and since, you know, they're first party too, they should want to utilize all the new features of their new mom and dad, Sony being both the mom and dad, I guess. But whatever kind of features they want to have on the PS5, they'll probably want to include it, and it probably won't be available on a PS4. I hope it just isn't necessary, or they can just make it work on a PS4, or still, yeah, on a DualShock 4, whatever the case is. But the main point I'm trying to make here is, yes, I'm glad that hopefully PS4 people that can't get a PS5 immediately will be able to play the new Ratchet and Clank that they've been waiting years for on a PS4 without having to spend like $600 on the system and the game and taxes and shipping and etc. But I'd be really disappointed because this game has so much potential, and if it has to be held back by PS4, like, what does that mean? I mean, I don't want to be too scared yet. Sony hasn't announced anything about their next plans for the next generation. We have no idea how it's gonna go. Maybe they'll address these concerns and just wipe them away. But even then, I would still like want to wait and see. But that's all we can do, right? Just wait and see. Now on to the PC side of things, and I'm re-recording this because there was some recent news I have to go over now that negates what I had said before. So what I was gonna say is that if you asked me a year ago, is Ratchet and Clank gonna come out on PC? No way, absolutely not. But based on PlayStation's recent support of putting some of their AAA games on PC, and Insomniac is now one of their first-party studios, and it might be a launch title, and it might be a pretty big deal of a game, I'm like, maybe. Detroit Become Human is now on PC, Death Stranding just got announced to be on PC, Dreams is being rumored to be on coming to PC eventually, and what is recent news is that Horizon Zero Dawn, which has been rumored for a long time, is finally officially announced to be coming to PC. So there was this whole article about it, I'll link it below, but the one thing I want to take away from this is this little paragraph here. He remains that Horizon's fate doesn't signal a larger trend. To maybe put a few minds at ease, releasing one first-party AAA title to PC doesn't necessarily mean that every game now will come to PC. But I mean, this is like, as far as I can think of, the fourth like biggest game that's being released on PC. So no, absolutely not every big PlayStation game is going to be coming to PC, so why would Ratchet? It's just a maybe, you know? There's no reason it really wouldn't. Again, it depends on what this game is really going to be like. And if this were to happen, it probably won't happen for at least a year, probably longer after it comes out. Herman Holston here also says, at the same time, we're going to be very open to experimentation, to new ideas, just trying things out to see what works. Later he says, I think it's important that we stay open to new ideas of how to introduce more people to PlayStation and show people maybe what they've been missing out on. Just to emphasize that they are open to bringing more games over to PC that are PlayStation exclusives. So yes, I would say it's a possibility that the next Ratchet game could come to PC, though again, it would not be immediately. He says we're very committed to dedicated hardware and very committed to quality exclusives and strong narrative-driven single-player games, just to bring your hopes up for the next Ratchet game being a banger. But what I think is equally as likely, more likely, less, I don't know, but the 2016 PS4 game might actually come to PC. Maybe that is the one that'll come to PC. You know, clearly they're open to bringing more exclusives over to the PC. Clearly they're not doing it on launch. The 2016 game that was 4 years ago this year. Ratchet has always been in high demand to be on PC. It would make a lot of sense. I'd say it's a pretty decent fit. I could, you know, there's possibility there. And it would make sense if they wanted to do that before the PS5 Ratchet and Clank game would come out, just to kind of hype that up more, if they don't do some kind of collection or port or some kind of thing like that. I still think they should make a collection before the next game, I'm just saying. But what I also wanted to note is that PlayStation Now is a thing, and you don't need a PlayStation to use PlayStation Now. You can use PS Now on your PC today. You can play, I think it's Quest for Booty onward. All the PS3 games are on PlayStation Now. I don't think any of the PS2 games are on it. Tools of Destruction isn't on it, which is super disappointing. But you can stream all those games to your PC right now. All you need is a DualShock 4 controller. You can't download them, unfortunately, but if you have a good internet and you want to, if that's worth it to you, you can play them technically on PC right now. But in the meantime, there's also great emulators out there, mainly PCSX2, I think I said that right. I'll link some stuff about that below. To this day, people are still working on the PS3 Ratchet and Clank titles to be working as an emulator on PC. I believe the PS2 titles are working great, if not just really well. PS3 titles are still currently being worked on, but I think some of them are still playable. Anyways, I'm going to talk about some other older interview now, which kind of pertains to something else regarding PC release. I want to read you this little excerpt from Sean Layden when he was still with the company about what he said about bringing PlayStation games to PC. So first he said, we must support the PlayStation platform. That is non-negotiable. That said, you will see in the future some titles coming out of my collection of studios, you know, the PlayStation Worldwide Studios, which may need to lean into a wider install base. And he's not talking about Nintendo or Microsoft, he's talking about PC. And specifically, this article says PC versions of multiplayer titles designed with that platform in mind. So he's talking about specifically multiplayer games. This goes back to my, I don't know why this video did so terrible, but that online video I did about the next Ratchet and Clank game possibly being online, watch that. I think just a lot of people don't want that because I believe because they think that it'll affect the main story, the single player campaign, as it did with Up Your Arsenal, and people just don't want to see that. I think that's the main reason people don't want it, but I really do think, even if they might actually do it because of what I said in that video, to watch that video. The ice cream truck is going by right now. But I really do think there is a I'm not saying it is going to happen, but there is a possibility that the next Ratchet game could have some online potential. That was, again, reinstated when that big leak came out on Reddit that I did that video about. I think that leak was fake, but I think all the points that they mentioned are still kind of plausible. But it's interesting, because if Ratchet does actually have online, like we've been speculating, then this would still fit the fit. Just another reason it might actually be on PC. What do you think about all this? Is this possible? Are you worried about it? Let me know. Gonna throw in a couple things here, just a reminder to subscribe, like, hit the bell, but subscribe and hit the bell because when and if Sony ever does some kind of live stream, something when they announce the PS5 stuff, announce some games, if it is possible, and I want to emphasize if it's possible because we don't know what their plan is with the releasing information about the new PS5, but if there is a way that we can stream it so we can all react and be there for the big Ratchet and Clank reveal, because that'll probably happen, you know, before it comes out. We'll be doing a live stream for that moment, if possible, so please do subscribe and hit the bell for that, at least, if not just for more Ratchet and Clank content, as well as other stuff that I've been doing. Hope you've been enjoying this other stuff I've been doing. Want to do more Dreams content? We'll be doing that soon, coming up. Also, subscribe to my Twitch. My Twitch is linked down there in all my videos. Just go follow that. If a decent amount of people follow me on there, maybe I'll start using it. Just a thought. Anyways, thank you all so much for your time. I love you all. I'll see you soon. Peace.